Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today I'm sat with Tom Russell. Bro, introduce yourself.
Yes, bro. Thank you very much for having me, first of all, in this incredible space.
It's all good, man. It's nice having you, bro.
Absolute spaceship of a studio. That's incredible. But yeah, so my name's Tom Russell. I'm based in London. I'm 20 years old currently. And I'm a fashion photographer and creative director. And I work in marketing and also e-commerce as well. So I have two brands of my own currently. And yeah, just been dialed in for the last 5 years. I'm working on various different projects and different things within photography and marketing and content creation, and yeah, it's been an interesting journey to say the least, being sort of 4 years freelance now since I left school, since I dropped out when I was 16. But yeah, man, thank you for having me. I'm stoked to be here.
So good, man. That's unreal. I mean, it's such an interesting journey, and the fact you're still so young is what makes it even more exciting. I mean, how did you get into fashion photography?
So I think the fashion photography come a little later on, probably like 2 years into, probably about 2 years into me doing photography for, myself and for brands and stuff like that. But it all started with doing photography for local businesses and for, restaurants and barbers and stuff like that. And then, dabbled within, how do you explain it? Like within product photography and lifestyle stuff as well. And then, further down the line, after working with, lots of different brands in that sort of thing, I decided that I needed to niche down a little bit, and I wanted to become sort of master of one rather than jack of all trades. And then figured out that I really love my fashion myself, and then it's really exciting to be on fashion shoots with other people and other brands, and I love working with models, love working with really cool people. So yeah, that's where the fashion side of stuff really started to push through sort of about 2 years ago. And that's been, my primary focus over the last 2 years, as well as the, marketing, consultation, and e-commerce as well.
Unreal. I mean, talk to us a little bit then about the kind of chronology of events after you dropped out of school.
Yeah, so from when I dropped out, it was a position of, okay, I don't want to go to college, I don't want to go to uni. And it wasn't even like much of a sort of egotistical thing. It was more that I'm going to turn up to college and do a photography course, and they're going to be teaching me shit that I already know. And it's like I've been doing this for sort of 3 or 4 years now, and it's going to be pretty like entry level basic photography when you're 16, 17. And where I'd been doing it for 2 years, I just thought it wasn't really worth my time, I guess. So then, just push further into doing more. From there, I was still obviously very new to it. As we touched on a little earlier, I worked for free for probably about 6 months for maybe 20, 30 different companies, just to build up a portfolio as much as I could of different types of work and different, work in general. And then, we just sort of niched down into wanting to do more fashion photography based work. And that's what I've been working on for the last sort of two or 3 years now.
Unreal. So in theory, you've been freelance working for yourself since 15.
Yeah. I believe. I have. Yeah, I've been working for myself. I think I had a job when I was like 15, and that was just delivering leaflets for my mum's company, and it was probably just to pay for camera equipment, to pay for software and stuff like that. Obviously, when you're first starting out, which is the tough part, is this shit's not cheap. Especially like back then, I had cheaper cameras than what I do now, and software and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, that stuff still needs paying for. So that was the first sort of, and I was still at school at that point as well. But from my last day of school after my GCSEs, which I did terribly in, by the way, after that point, it was okay. I actually want to do this as a job now, and I was saying earlier how I want to work with people, not for people, and being able to collaborate in a creative way is a lot more special than it is just being given tasks to run down. If you was in, for example, a 9 to 5 creative route, you get slapped with a load of tasks to do, and you just got to get on with them. Whereas this gives you a bit more creative freedom to sort of choose what you want to do, I suppose, and you can take the reins a little bit more.
How important is collaboration for you?
Yeah, man, bro. Honestly, like I love working with new creatives, whether it be working with other photographers, other models, stylists, whatever it is. That's one of my favorite things about the job is the people you get to meet, and the deeper you get. Again, I'm still pretty much at the start, but the deeper you get into the industry, you meet some cool motherfuckers, man. Like models, stylists, other photographers, graphic designers. You know, I've been fortunate enough to work with some, you know, very, very talented people that have done and worked with some of the biggest brands in the world, and, you know, working alongside them, shadowing them, working, you know, collaboratively, you know, you learn from these people, you know, and where they've been in the industry for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, you know, there's levels to this game.
How have you found it being so young in this kind of creative space? Are people quite welcoming of the fact that you are so fresh in the game, or are they more, I don't know, a bit more standoffish?
So do you mean that in terms of me outreaching and working with new clients?
Yes, and also say if you pull up to a shoot
Yeah.
and you're introduced as, you know, this is the main guy, essentially the shoot, this is the main photographer. What is the general reaction? How have you found that?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think at the start there is a bit of sort of like general judgment and thinking like, I've paid this Donny to come here and he's, you know, young as fuck and has only been here for, you know, doing this for a few years. But I think I kind of just let the work speak for itself, really. Like at the end of the day, people and brands, what I've realized is like they don't really care who you are or how you do it. They just want shit done. They just want to see results, whether that's, you know, whether that's through photography and creative stuff or whether that's through, you know, revenue driven results or whatever it be. Like at the end of the day, people just want shit done. They want the job done, and they don't really, like, I don't think they care too much about who you are, what you look like, you know, how old you are. But yeah, there is definitely like an initial judgment of like, I've definitely turned up to shoots and the, you know, the guy who's, you know, paid me X amount to be there is, because obviously when we're on calls and we're discussing, you know, the shoot and what he's doing, obviously they can see what I look like, and obviously I look quite young in terms of like, I swear, like physically, but yeah, at the end of the day, they just want the job done, man. And if, you know, if I can do it to the best of my ability and they're happy with the results, then I'd like to think as well. I haven't had any, like, I've probably worked with a few clients that have been a bit shit to work with and have been a bit stressful, but I'd like to think I've got pretty much 100% like client satisfaction throughout all the brands I've worked with. I haven't really had, you know, many that have turned around and gone, oh, we hate the photos. You know? And if they do, I will do my best to make sure I put that right.
It's important, isn't it? Like to obviously make sure that your work is being received in the intent of which it was created. And I mean, obviously you don't have to, you know, speak about the brands who haven't been great to work with, but just so the viewers know and know a bit more about your story, you know, can you name some of the brands that you've worked with over the last 12 months, 24 months?
Yeah, so probably over the last two years, like I've worked with, you know, everyone from sort of pre-Series A startups to smaller brands, and then, you know, all the way up to people like, I've done stuff for like Nike, Adidas, Canada Goose, Chanel. It's been pretty sick, man. It's been really cool. Like some of these brands, again, like where you'll go with them, you're like, some of them you're going through agents, and some are like not directly for the brand, it's for like a collab or something like that. But yeah, man, it's been very, very fortunate to have worked. And again, as we was touching on earlier, that's the power of collaborating with people, you know, like knowing people in the industry that are 5-10 years like further on than I am. You know, although we're friends, like one of my boys, like literally the other day for that Chanel shoot, like my boy just hit me up and was like, what are you doing today? Do you want to come assist me on a Chanel shoot? I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it, 100%. And that's the same for a lot of them. Like a lot of my big jobs, again, have just come through friends of mine and friends that have, you know, we've networked together and we've gone out and shot together. We've hung out, we've had drinks, we've had some messy nights out, and, you know, a lot of it is just through people, man. Like network is the biggest key. Like to anyone who's sort of like at the start of their journey, I'd recommend starting a lot with doing a lot of, you know, free work and shadowing people, but just network, man. Just meet people, shake hands, and the more hands you shake, the more, you know, opportunities that arise.
How important would you say it is then saying yes to invitations or opportunities? Are you just kind of very receptive of everything, or is there like a selection process? Like how do you kind of filter through them?
It's a good question. I think, like, just in general, in life in general, you should say yes to more things. But I was speaking earlier with Felix about being okay with saying no sometimes and putting your foot down a little bit and being like, you know what, if this project isn't right for me, I'm not going to put my name to it. You know, be very wary of the things that you get into, because sometimes, yeah, the bag might look healthy, but the stress that comes with it is probably not worth it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure I've definitely noticed it, and I don't really want to, I'm not going to name drop, but like, I've definitely noticed it more within artists. Like, I've definitely said yes to working with some artists, and I'm like, fuck, man, I shouldn't have done that. Like, this has literally been more stress than it's worth getting paid for. But that's the thing, like, going back to, you know, should you say no all the time? Most of the time, yeah. Just think, you know, what is the worst case scenario that can happen? What's the worst that can come from it? But
as in saying yes, as in say yes to more things.
Yes to more things. But at the same time, also, if it's something that you think is going to benefit you, then go for it. But find the balance between saying yes to a lot of things, but also turning shit down at the same time.
I like that. I think as a general rule of thumb, like, you have to.
But that's not even just in content, right? As well, and like in the industry. I think that's just with life in general, man. Like, just saying yes to more things, just getting more experiences, doing more things, meeting more people, going to that place, or, you know, asking that girl out, or, you know, going on that holiday. Like, just say yes to more things. Like, more opportunities, the better, right?
100%. I mean, even now, how we're filming, it was a spontaneous
thing. I mean, like, we met 2 hours ago.
Yeah,
and literally. You know, I've obviously pulled up to your space. I didn't even know I was coming to the studio. Obviously, we're with the very talented Harry Kirkwood here in the studios, producing some cool tracks in the background now. But yeah, we were speaking in terms of, obviously, you've got this very cool space. You guys didn't even know who you are, or the fact that you did a podcast, and now you know, just through a personal network of people, you know, we're here today talking, and I'm sure we're gonna chop it up in the future as well.
100%, but it just ties back to what you're saying, how important it is
to just say yes,
open mind. Why not? It's like, bro, who knows what's gonna happen?
What's the worst that's gonna happen? Literally,
I think, you know, especially in that creative space, you know, the whole podcast and everyone that we film with and we sit down with is so important to have that open mind, because otherwise you're closing yourself off to so many opportunities.
So many. I think that's the biggest thing in young people as well. Like, they're very. We have with humans in general, man, we have a massive fear of judgment, and we have a massive, you know, fear of being made look stupid, or, you know, like, we just have a big fear of being judged. And I just think if we just open that out and let that go, then we just end up a lot happier as well.
Bro, 100%. I mean, say there's a kid out there now who's scared of starting something they love doing, whether they're at school and they're being, you know, they're a bit apprehensive because of what their friends might think. What advice would you give that kid?
Bro, I got ripped in school so hard for doing photography, man. Like, really? So hard, bro. Like, it's not that I didn't like school, because I was like semi-popular in school, and like, people knew me, and, you know, I was always just in my own lane at the end of the day. Like, I was always like, everyone was about, you know, football or rugby, or, you know, like, you know, going out doing this, that and the other, and where I was just so tunnel vision with photography and with, you know, I just had that. My fear was always like having to go and do shit that I don't want to do, basically. And obviously there has been times, and there will be times where you have to do that. But my fear was always just like, I really don't want to have to get some office job when I leave at 18. I really don't. Like, I used to just clock it whenever I would travel, and whenever I hated that journey so much. That journey to school. My journey to school took me 2 hours, and that journey to school, I just remember like looking around at everyone's face on the train. Everyone was super miserable, and like just having to do that journey. Like, I was just thinking, man, if I have to do this 5 days a week, this is gonna suck. So like, my fear of that was my thing. It was like, fuck, man, if I don't smash this and I don't make this work, that's the other option, and I can't let that run. And I think that's like something as well that's just really sort of like, that's one of my biggest motivations more than anything. It's like, when you're your own boss, when you're freelance and you do this, if I don't work, I don't get paid. And if I don't put the work in, nothing changes. Like, you know the quote, like, nothing changes if nothing changes.
Yeah.
Like, literally. So you've got to just put that work in. And it kind of hit for me when I got back to the UK. So I didn't really preface this, but I actually grew up in Singapore. So I grew up in Asia for 7 years.
Wow.
So I grew up in Singapore, and then I moved to Dubai for a year, and then I moved to Spain for 2 years, and then back to the UK, and that's where I finished my school, my education. But you know, I've grown up abroad, so I've kind of, where I've been an expat as a kid, I've kind of like, I've seen how the other half live, sort of thing, and I know that there's so many opportunities out there, bro. Like, you just got to know how and when to grab them.
I mean, it's a different question, I suppose, but I didn't even know that until just now.
Yeah.
How important would you say traveling
Ooh.
has been in terms of getting your mindset where it's at right now?
That's such a huge part of my life. Like, traveling and new cultures and new languages and new people is just such a big part of my life. Like, I'm lucky enough now that I get to travel with my work, and I get, you know, flown out from different brands and different people and different companies that I get to, you know, travel with my work. But even still, I travel for the fun of it anyway. So I spend like a bit of time in Bali in like towards the end of the year. It's where I like to sort of like, that's my sort of chill out time after, you know, working hard all year. But yeah, man, honestly, travel is so important because you just get to realize that there's just so much out there. Like, that's another thing to young creatives as well, is like, travel as much as you can, because you just start to realize, like, if you're from a small town in the UK, or if you're from a small town in, I don't know, fucking Germany or Spain or wherever you're from, the more you travel, you just get to realize, like, there's so much life out there, bro. Like, there's, like, I still think about it a lot, bro. There's 7 billion people in this world, and there's like so many countries that you can go and visit that are completely different cultures. It's a mad culture shock. Like, when you go to somewhere that's, you know, that you've never been before, especially when you're growing up in the UK. Say you're at a comprehensive school in the UK, and you know, you're pretty standard. You know, you go to school, you come home, you study, you know, you go to uni, you get a job. Like, bro, the more you travel, you just more you realize, like, there's levels to this, bro. Like, it's incredible. And not even from a business, well, yeah, from a business perspective, but just from a just like soul searching as well, just from a life perspective as well. You just realize, like, so many people out there and so many opportunities when you know where to look.
It definitely matures you. I mean, you're only 20,
yeah,
but you don't, you know, when you speak and you know, just put your points across, it's like not speaking to a 20-year-old. Like, a lot of other 20-year-olds, you may not have had the experience of traveling or going abroad to see different cultures.
That's 100% what it does for you. Like, because the thing is, so the first time I went traveling was when I was. So the first time I went traveling on my own was when I was 17. I went to Berlin, Amsterdam, Ibiza, and I saved up a bit of money from photography, and then I went traveling for a few weeks on a really small budget. Like, I was literally staying in hostels and shit like that. But that was the first thing on my own, and then when I was 18, I went to Asia on my own. So, like, literally, like, not with any mates, like, literally just packed a bag and went on my own. I went to Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, and yeah, man, it's incredible. Like, just being able to do shit like that, and it puts you in your, like, out of your comfort zone heavy. Like, I think I've always been quite an extroverted person. Like, I can pretty much feel comfortable speaking to anyone, but yeah, it's definitely puts you out of your comfort zone. But that's the thing. It was kind of like, that was my intentions of going on those trips on my own, is being able to just, you know, if you don't talk to people, you're going to be fucking lonely. But if you chat to people, you're going to make some really sick friends who are like some of my best friends to this day, who I've met in different countries, who I still stay in touch with. And, you know, if I want to go to Amsterdam, I've got people to link up with out there, or, you know, wherever it is. You know, the more people you meet abroad,
just a network of people, sure. Innit?
Definitely. Like, a prime example of it was I was in Croatia last week. I was shooting for the Yacht Week, which is a really, really cool company. They, you know, basically pay like a set fee to go onto their yachts, and you know, go to all different places around Croatia, but they're just, you know, taking photos of people, networking. I've got, you know, now got friends in LA, I've got friends in New York, I've got friends in like all over that I'll, you know, now stay in touch with just off the back of that. And yeah, network is key, man, 100%.
I mean, how much time, I suppose, do you spend? Because I know that you work 7 days a week, more or less, give or take, right?
Yeah, I usually take Sundays off.
Sundays off,
but
okay.
Sundays are more like I try to focus on self-development a lot, but Sundays is like my reset day. It's like my plan my week. What am I gonna do? What have I, like, what's my, like, KPIs? Like, what's my non-negotiable things that I need to do. And then I've also, Sunday's usually my reset day.
So I was going to ask you, how much time do you take out just switching off and time for yourself? Is it just all of Sunday? Most Sundays?
No, so I mean, I try to. I've been a bit bad with it recently because my schedule's been a bit all over the place. But I try to spend my mornings of, first of all, don't touch your phone in the morning when you wake up for the first like hour or two, and that time is usually I meditate a lot as well. Do a lot of like breath work and stuff like that, and that's just sort of like I do a lot of visualizing as well. So visualizing my like how I want my days to look in the future. You know, like what I want my future to look like. So I have what I call the morning formula, which is essentially it's like affirmations and values. So what I stand for as a person, things that I want to do, and then you've got your like goals, which is current goals. So I do it by quarter. So like we're obviously in Q4 now, and then you've got your goals for the next 6 months, 1 to 3 years, and then 10 years. And then I use my mornings to sort of, after I've done my sort of general routine, to look through those and just visualize really, and just figure out like where, like I'm obviously here now, but where do I want to be in 5 years time, or, you know, further down the line. And then, you know, when you've got a plan to get there, there's no reason it's not going to happen.
I think that ties me nicely onto the next question, because say, you know, obviously when you were starting out, very early doors, what was your routine? Because obviously you have to hold yourself accountable, because no one else is going to do that for you.
100%.
Because you're your own boss, right? So what was your routine? How did you keep yourself on it and hungry and motivated? How did you do that at the start?
Well, at the start, obviously, I was still at school. So I still had to like go and that was why I didn't do very well, because I wasn't really listening like to a lot of what I was being told in school. I was either reading photography books or travel books or, you know, something like that, or, you know, just doing everything I could to basically not do the work that I was being told to. But I think more tying into routine, it's like, it's just realize, and I'm still learning, man. I still fuck up a lot as well. Like I still, but the thing with me is just like, it's just that realization. It's like, if you don't keep grinding, you're gonna have to go and do that. It's like, what's the other option type beat? Do you know what I mean? It's like, if I'm, you know, if I don't keep pushing with this photography stuff, or if I don't keep pushing with, you know, whatever business it is, I'm gonna be on that train and having to go do that dead life that I don't want to run. And I think that's the biggest like motivator to me. It's just that if I don't make this work, then I'm gonna have to go and do that, which I really don't want to do.
Well, that's what motivates you, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
For everyone, it's gonna differ.
And I see that every day anyway, because I still go to the city, and I still go into London. You know, luckily I don't have to travel at rush hour a lot of the time. But when I do, like say I'm going to a shoot or something, like bro, being on, like I live in Essex at the moment, and like being on that central line, like being pushed up against the thing on like a fucking Thursday morning, and it's just like, at least I'm going to do something I actually want to do. Like imagine I had to do this and then I had to go see some boss that I don't like and do work that I don't want to do. Like that's the biggest motivator for me, and I clock it every now and then as well, because I don't go to London every day, but when I do, it's just like, mate, if you don't make this shit work, like this could be you, sort of thing.
Yeah, because you briefly just said as well that you still fuck up a lot, right?
Yeah, man.
The thing, you said it with chess, which I think is great for young people watching this, because they might be scared of getting things wrong or fucking up for everyone to see. How important is it to actually make mistakes?
Bro, it's one of the most important things, and something I learned early on as well, and to anyone watching who's younger, like, learn to deal with rejection early on. Like, whether that be from a job, a girl, a person, a job opportunity, anything, just learn to deal with rejection early doors. Because if you get, like, the more you get used to hearing no, and the more you become okay with that, like, just the easier shit gets, because you're just used to it. It's like, if you go up to, you know, like, you know, if you go to a job interview, like, the more no's you get, you're closer to a yes, basically. And I still deal with that day to day, and we always will forever. Like, especially because the way and this will touch back more on sort of like the photography work side of stuff, it's like, yeah, on my Instagram, everyone sees like, oh yeah, I get to do all these cool shoots, but people don't see the thousands of emails that I have to send, and the thousands of DMs, and the hundreds of people that tell me no, and the hundreds of people that don't even reply. You know, it's like, everyone, like, and that's another thing as well. Don't believe everything you see on social media, because it's bullshit. Like, everyone's painting such a perfect picture of their life. It's not true. Like, because I can make my Instagram, I could literally, like, and I kind of do in a way, because obviously I like to share, you know, what I'm up to, but people don't see what goes on behind closed doors. So don't believe everything you see on social media. That's a big thing. Because people can get really, and even I get to this day, you can get really discouraged from that. Because you see all these people around you making it work and, you know, doing crazy things and, you know, all these supercars and get rich quick schemes. Bro, doesn't run like that. Got to put the work in. And don't get discouraged if it doesn't work out as well, like, straight away. Like, always see it, like, I think I see success as like a long-term game as well. Like, obviously everyone's idea of success is different to everyone. Like, what you might consider being successful might be different from mine, but the sort of general ideology of success is obviously, you know, the watches and the cars and the, you know, the pretty girls and all this. It's like, yeah, you can see all that all over social media, but bro, it's not reality. And it's like, for some, yeah, it is 100%, but people make it look a lot easier than it is. That's for sure.
It's such a good bit of advice, I think, especially for our audience and a lot of young people watching, because they'll see someone doing it on social media and they might think, you know what, there's no point even starting. Like,
yeah, of course.
I'm 5 years older than my man who's smashed it. He's on a different level to me, but it's like, you have to live your own journey. You have to
start somewhere. Don't compare your level 1 to someone else's level 10. You know, like I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it, but when you're first starting, you're thinking, oh shit, man, like, I'm so much further behind than this person, but bro, they've put hours and hours of work in perfecting their craft. And another, like, small, like, not necessarily tip, but like, when you're first starting out in something, it's going to take a while to, and this is to the people that don't actually know what they want to do, because it takes time to figure out what you want to do and what you want to focus on. Obviously, Harry does the, you know, producing, I do photography, you do podcasting, someone else might be a DJ. Like, once you've found what you want to do and what you're good at, like, stick at it and master that craft. Like, if you can be the go-to guy for that thing, you'll do really well. Like, don't try and be a jack of all trades, because if, you know, say for example, you was, you know, you had a toothache, you wouldn't go to the Donny that fixes radiators and, you know, fixes computers but also is a dentist. You want to go to the tooth specialist.
Yeah.
You know, you want to go to the person that does that one thing. So if you can niche down and figure out what you want to focus on, just become really fucking good at that one thing and you'll go far with it. And I think that's what I've sort of noticed now more than ever, is especially when I first started out in the online space, you know, you've got fucking Forex trading, you've got drop shipping, you've got copywriting, you've got, you know, there's so many different business models out there. But if you just pick one and stick at it, I probably would have been a lot further in photography if I just stuck at that. You know, I've tried to branch out onto other stuff, and now, again, I'm 5 years into photography, but now I'm just learning marketing and e-commerce and stuff like that. I'm new to the game, but that's fine.
Part of the journey,
yeah, it's part of the journey, bro. And there's no rush as well. Extend that timeline, extend that, like what are you gonna, like, say for example, like, I'm 20, say I absolutely smash it in the next 5 years, what then? You know, I'm still only 25 and you got your whole life ahead, so you just extend your success timeline and go from there and enjoy every part of it.
Bro, honestly, it's been such an interesting conversation, man. I really appreciate having you on, bro.
I could see it for hours and chat to you. This has been sick, man.
Honestly,
thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate
it,
you, bro.
Legend.
Bro, really appreciate it. Guys, it's been Tom Russell. Go check out his stuff.
Thank you very much.
Super talented. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care.